Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Rambles. Today, there's kind of a mystery going on around the house. You see, I live on a farm in a pretty rural county. And, being in the middle of nowhere, my family likes to feed the birds. We usually get the kind of bird seed that you can hang on a hook outside, and the way we have it situated is on the back deck, where when you sit on the couch, you can look out the window and see it. Well, this morning, when we pulled back the curtains, half of the birdseed log we'd gotten was completely gone. Most of it was scattered across the deck, some of it was going down the steps, a bunch of it had ended up in the grass, and we were pretty confused. We know it couldn't have been the cats. The cats have never shown an interest in the birdseed before, and not only that, but the way that the birdseed is positioned so that it hangs out over the balustrade kind of makes it impossible for the cats to leap up and try to swat at the birds, unless they want to launch themselves over the deck railing and plummet about a good 10 feet to the ground below. So if it couldn't have been the cats, the next person we thought it might have been was the possum that likes to come by and eat some of the cat food. I decided to call him Mr. Jenkins. But I don't think this Mr. Jenkins, because we've had tons of Mr. Jenkinses, including a Mrs. Jenkins one time with her babies. But I don't think this particular possum is one of the kinds that likes to get up onto the railing of the deck that you have to shoo away with a broom. No, this one is big, he is fat, and he is incredibly lazy. He doesn't move anytime we come out, and we see him, he just kind of stares at us and goes right back to eating. This possum does not move unless this possum wants to move. He is going to eat, and he is going to enjoy himself eating. So we don't think it's him. So the only other thing we thought it could have been would have been a deer, which would make sense. We don't have the back deck barricaded anymore, and the reason we had it barricaded was because there was a dog that would come and run around the property, get up onto the back deck, play with the cats, or try to play with the cats. The cats do not enjoy being played with at all, especially by a thing that is bigger and much more hyperactive than them. So we had taken the barricade down, so a deer easily could have climbed up the steps and eaten away at the birdseed. I don't know why a deer would have wanted to eat at birdseed, but there are stranger things in the world that happen. Stranger things that deer have eaten. Plus, it is getting in that season, or it probably already is the season for deer, to be wandering around, worrying about getting shot by hunters. And if it wasn't a deer, well, I guess it really doesn't matter. I don't think I'd want to know. Kind of ruins the mystery and the fun of it all. Another mysterious thing that's been happening around the house lately is we've been hearing a really strange noise coming from underneath the trailer. And as trailers are, they are big boxes, but boxes that have entrances that you may not be able to see. There's one that's outside my window, inside of a little garden-like triangle area. It's big enough that a mole or a cat, or heck, even a small dog could get in there. So we think that's how they're getting in, and we do think it's the cats. Because when we stomp our feet to try and, get them to react, to see if we can make them meow, we kind of hear them scrabbling around, and we kind of hear them hissing. So I guess it's not so much a mystery, it's just a really funny thing that kind of happens in the middle of the night. You just kind of wake up to hear the cats going pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. But yeah, not much else happens out here. And that's probably a good thing. I enjoy living in the country. There's plenty of stars to see at nighttime, especially when the moon is full. You can kind of look out and just see for miles in the cool, clear air. And it's perfectly quiet. We certainly have neighbors. I'm not saying we live on the farm alone. It's kind of shared land. Our house sits at the bottom of a hill on the right-hand side, and across from us in the field is the river that flows through and kind of goes into a bigger river down the way. And then there's my grandmother's house a little bit down the road, and behind it are the rolling fields that kind of go up into some hills, and then on the other side of us are more hills. So it's kind of like a valley, if you want to think of it like that. A valley with small little forests and lots of hills, perfect for cows, which is what we raise most of the time. We have tons of cows. And by tons of cows, I mean probably anywhere from 20 to 40 cows at a time, give or take. I've never counted them all, but it looks like there's that many. Probably because they're all the same color, they all like to congregate in the same area, and they all like to bawl in the middle of the night for no reason, especially when you're taking calves off them. If you're taking a calf off of a cow, the cow and the calf will scream about it. And they will scream about it for days, for hours, at the most random times, too. Like, they'll die down and you'll think, okay, we're making progress, we're getting somewhere. And 2 seconds later, for some reason, I don't know what gets them stirred up, they'll start bawling away. And it is the funniest thing to see everybody in the family, just their faces drop and they're like, here we go again. Even though it happens every year, you think we'd be used to it by now, but we're not. I promise we're not. We also used to have chickens. Well, my granny did. We didn't have chickens. Good Lord, we couldn't have raised chickens at all. It would have been a mess, and it already kind of was a mess, because these chickens were mean. They were mean suckers. One time I remember it was my job to go and try and feed them, and I thought to myself, it'll be fine. These chickens are friendly. I mean, how bad could they be? So I got a food bucket, and they were not excited to see me like I had hoped. They all kind of congregated around the door, and when I opened the door, they all started trying to peck my hand. When I tried to push them away, again, more pecking. Eventually, I got tired of it and just kind of tossed the food onto their heads. You might say that that's kind of mean, but it's better than getting pecked at, and it's a heck of a lot better than letting them chickens run around in the yard and trying to have to catch them once they get outside the cage, because they don't like being in that cage most of the time. And I'm not saying we keep them in the cages all the time. They were allowed to roam around the yard, but when they were in the cages in the nighttime, that was when we gave them the bird feed. It just did not go over well. And that's a very loud truck. Another very loud truck. Goodness, I know you can probably hear that, and I'm so sorry. That's the only bad thing about living in a trailer is these really thin walls. You can hear everything going by. You can hear everybody talking, everybody walking. Most of the time. There are some times you can't, but most of the time you can. I guess it's a good thing we're a pretty small family then. Drive us near crazy if we had to live with a bunch of people. And even though I say I live on a farm, in case y'all are wondering, no, I do not know how to drive a tractor. I have ridden with somebody who knows how to drive a tractor before, and it was the most fun. I tell you, they are loud, but they are fun to drive on because they go so slow. You can just look around and take your time and just really enjoy the atmosphere. Plus, they're so open-winded, you just feel the breeze, and it just feels so nice. And then you gotta make other cars wait on you when you're driving down the road, and it's just so cool. And everybody around here is pretty much used to tractors driving on the road. If people are coming in out of town and they get behind a tractor, that's when you find people start honking, people start trying to go around. But mostly if they live in the area around here, it's kind of like, oh, a tractor. Okay. We get to chill, get to drive slow. And usually the tractor owner will either tell you you can go around or they'll pull over. But for those that don't, we just kind of coast along on an understanding that you go your pace, I'll go mine, and nobody's got any place to be that they're in a real hurry to get to. I think that's about all I had to talk about today. I know it'll probably be a little bit of a shorter episode depending on how things shake out. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Midnight Rambles. And look at that, I managed to actually stay away from sappy speeches and philosophical rantings for once. Didn't think it was possible. Well, guys, I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday. And for those of you who aren't celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope you just take some time for yourself and enjoy the weekend. Y'all certainly deserve it. Thanks so much for watching, and if you got any thoughts, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. Until next time, guys, this is Erisai Xerxes signing out. Bye, y'all.